On this question, they're giving us S of t, which is an equation of the motion for a particle. And then they want us to find the velocity function. And we'll start with that. So let's bring on down. So here is the S of t function right here. I'm going to make my t a capital T so it doesn't look like a plus sign. Okay, and so here's the main thing to know for this kind of thing. So if you have a position function and you take the derivative, that's a velocity, which is s prime, and you take another derivative, and that's acceleration, which is s double prime. So velocity and acceleration. Okay, so if I say, okay, I'm gonna take the derivative, that's gonna be velocity. And so what is the derivative? You know the rule, bring the 3 down, 3 times 8, 24. Subtract 1 from the power, t squared. Bring the power down, plus 72. Subtract 1 from the power, t to the first. 1, bring it down. Subtract 1 from the power, so t to the 0, so it's gone. So there's the velocity function. And then they ask us, where does the velocity equal 0? So now you're going to set it equal to 0 and solve this equation for what t values make it 0. How do you solve that equation? Well, there's something nice here. You can divide through by 24, I believe, because I think all those numbers, and you got to do the other side too, but it doesn't do anything. Yeah. So this will be just t squared plus 3t, which, yeah, that's right, minus 4, right? Yeah. And 0 over anything is just 0. So what's so great about that? Well, now you can factor. Be the easiest thing to do. Put t's in the front. And so remember how this works? Remember, it's all about FOIL, FOIL, front times front to make front, and then last times last to make last. What times what makes four? Well, two options. It could be 2 times 2 or 1 times 4. Which one's it going to be? They're, don't worry about the negative 4. We'll do the negative, positive stuff in a minute, but let's just focus on the numbers right now. 2 times 2 is 4, and 1 times 4 is 4. How do you know which one it is? Well, in the middle, you two of them together, they have to add, or I say add, but it's add or subtract, because if you add a negative subtraction, to make 3. So that can't be 2 and 2 then. It's got to be 1 and 4, doesn't it? So it's going to be 1 and 4, or 4 and 1. The order doesn't matter. You can put the 4 first, and that doesn't matter, but the signs will matter. How do the signs go? Sign in the middle always goes on the bigger number. Remember that? Sign in the middle to the big. Sign in the middle goes on the 4 is bigger than 1. So the sign in the middle always has to go on the bigger number. And how do you make plus 3? Well, it had to be plus 4 minus 1. That makes plus 3. That adds or subtracts, however you want to say it, to make plus 3 in the middle. And they multiply negative 1 times positive 4 to be negative 4, don't they? Okay. So what now? Well, now you set each one equal to its own 0 separately, an or in between. Why? Well, because logically, if two things are multiplying to equal 0, that means the first one could be 0 or the second one, right? If I said to you, hey, I'm thinking of two numbers in my head, I times them and it comes out 0. What does that mean? How do you multiply two numbers and get an answer 0? Well, the first one could be 0 or the second one could be 0, right? That's what this is saying. Something is multiplied by something. See the parentheses, they mean multiply, you know that. Two things are multiplied to equal 0. What does that mean logically? The first one could be 0 or the second one could be 0. Either way, they're going to multiply to be 0. So then you can just finish up the problem. Just add 1 to both sides. Boom, boom. T is 1. Here, subtract 4 from both sides. T is minus 4. So those are the two answers. 1 minus 4. 1 minus 4. There they are. You could also, by the way, use the quadratic formula if you wanted to, but it's much quicker to factor on this one. Last thing, they want the acceleration function. How we can do that? Well, let's bring the S prime velocity function down here for a minute, which is right here. Go back to, what it was. It was 24t squared plus 72t minus 96 before we set it equal to 0 and did stuff. Now we just need another derivative, right? As it says right here. You start with position. First derivative is velocity, second derivative is acceleration. So we need another derivative, two derivative, another derivative. So derivative of this, multiply, that'd be 48, t to the 1, subtract 1 from the power. This has a 1 power, multiply, subtract 1 from the power, that's gone. And the derivative of 96 is just 0 because 96 is just a constant number that doesn't have a letter. The derivative of that's always just 0. So the acceleration function then is 48t plus 72. That's it. 48t plus 72. And so there we go.